fellow booktubers, my name is Lauren, you're watching Dreams Books Courage, and today is another Top 5 Wednesday. Today we're talking about my top 5 non-young adult books, and I did not realize how hard this topic was going to be until I actually started thinking about my top 5. I thought I read way more adult books than I actually have, and so most, if not all of these books are going to be classics. But they're really awesome classics that I read in English classes throughout the years, and I really recommend you guys check all of these books out. Since these are books that I usually read in the English classes, I do not have most of these books, so I will definitely be leaving a picture right here for you guys to see and check out how amazing all these covers are along with how amazing these books are. In the number 5 spot, we have The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. And I know a lot of people, when they read this in English class, they really don't enjoy this book. I can kind of understand why. Literally, the whole thing takes place in the sea, and it's all about an old man and his triumphs and problems that he faces along the way while he is trying to catch a certain fish. And yes, this may seem absolutely boring until you get to all the symbolism and stuff like that, which people like me, people who are totally English nerds, absolutely love that stuff, and I definitely didn't really enjoy this book until I started looking at all the symbolism within it. This is a really short read, so I definitely recommend you guys pick this book up and also go on Spark Notes to see the different things about this book and the different types of symbolism. Symbolism of Jesus Christ, that this guy is going on a 3-day journey, and also that he's a fisherman, and so that is probably the biggest form of symbolism. And also I think this teaches a very important life story, that you can try really hard and do amazing things, and yet sometimes people will not even recognize your accomplishments in life, so I definitely recommend you guys check this book out. Although it might seem kind of drab, if you look at Spark Notes and things along with just reading these amazing books, then you really understand these books way more and you really enjoy them even more than you thought you would in the first place. The 4th book in this top 5 is called The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan, and it is an amazing book about 8 Asian women and their journeys throughout coming to America and then their children's lives, how they've been raised all American, and so they really don't understand where their culture comes from and they really don't appreciate it as much as they should. This book was really interesting because you saw all these lives of the mothers and then these lives of the daughters and just how those factor together and the things that they all had to go through. There's a lot of symbolism in this as well, but you can definitely see it throughout the book, and it's just a really interesting experience. It's not just one story throughout. I think it's about 16 stories overall, and so it's really interesting to look at. Even if you think you don't like Asian culture or anything like that, once you get into this book, you will not be able to stop reading it. It's absolutely amazing, and it tells about lives that you've never imagined possible. But some people probably did actually go through these tribulations throughout their lives, and so it's just a really amazing read. I would definitely recommend you guys pick this one up. In my number 3 spot, I have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is a bind-up of all 7 of Jane Austen's completed novels. I've read this entire thing. I love Jane Austen's writing completely. Pride and Prejudice especially. Pride and Prejudice tells the story of a young lady named Elizabeth Bennet and her sister's lives, and along the way they meet these handsome, amazing guys, and then this jerk named Darcy shows up. And he kind of ruins everything, but then you can't help but fall in love with Darcy as a character. He's absolutely awesome and witty, and the story is amazing about Elizabeth and Darcy and also her sisters, especially Jane. And I feel like this book is definitely relatable even in the 21st century. So I definitely recommend this book, especially if you guys enjoy contemporary writing at all. This is pretty much where it all stemmed from, is either Jane Austen or the Bronte sisters. And so I definitely recommend you guys pick this book up. It's definitely one of my favorite books of all time. And if you want to go see if you like this book before you start reading it, I would definitely recommend you go check out the Lizzie Bennet Diaries on YouTube. It's an absolutely amazing show, and I absolutely love those episodes, and it made me love Pride and Prejudice even more than I already do. In the 2nd spot, I have 1984 by George Orwell. This book completely changed my mind about pretty much everything. It's a dystopian, and right now dystopians are super popular, but this is definitely one of the first dystopians, and one of the first dystopians I personally read. It's a classic book, and I'm sure you've heard about it before, especially if you watch any of Ariel Bassette's videos. She absolutely loves George Orwell, and so do I. The symbolism between his stories and just the way he makes these worlds that we can't even dream of, and yet we kind of already live in, is absolutely amazing. and it follows one main character who actually wants to rebel against this completely utopian society, and it's just very interesting how this dystopian is set up. A lot of dystopians I'm sure you guys love, especially the Divergent trilogy and also the Hunger Games trilogy. I'm sure some of the stuff in those books is based off of 1984, and so if you want to really understand more about dystopians in general and how amazing this book is, I would definitely recommend you pick it up. Even though I hated the ending, it had a lot of symbolism within that too. And so if you guys want to hear more about 1984, or if you want to hear a discussion about this amazing book, definitely put that down below, and maybe I'll end up doing a book discussion on this amazing book that I absolutely adore. My final book is actually one that I picked up last month for a book club, and this book is absolutely amazing. I actually did a book discussion, so I'll definitely link that down below, and that is The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. I would definitely recommend you guys go check out that book discussion because I talk a whole lot more in depth about this book in that video. But basically, this book tells a story of Amir and Hassan, who are best friends throughout childhood, and Hassan goes through a crazy ordeal, and so you might not be able to handle that if you're a bit younger, but if you're older, I definitely recommend you guys check this book out. And Amir has a crazy, horribly damaged life that he has to go through, and this is the story of Amir primarily, but Hassan definitely factors into this book a whole lot. It tells the story of Afghanistan and also whenever he moves from Afghanistan to California, and I definitely developed a bigger sense of empathy throughout reading this book and really understanding Afghanistan more in depth. And so I'd really recommend you guys check this book out. It's one of my favorite books of this year. I absolutely adore this book, and although this book is definitely deep, you should really check it out because I think it's a book that everyone needs to read, and it's not that old of a book either. And this author is amazing, and I definitely want to read more of Khaled Hosseini's books. But once again, if you guys want to hear more about this book, then definitely check out my book discussion that I'll link down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this Top 5 Wednesday. I know it was a bit of a different video than I've done before, but I actually find it kind of refreshing to not be talking about YA books all the time. And so once again, I really hope you guys check out these books because they're absolutely incredible and books that I think you should read even as a teenager. So I'm gonna go get back to reading. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time.